let's talk about the characters of this series, or at least like in season 1 in particular here, just because I feel like they are like one of the strongest parts of this show here. So
definitely.
So we're kind of going over like who they are, what makes them tick, and how do they develop through the season here. And first off, let's start with the main man himself, which would be Aang.
Yeah, the Avatar.
Yep.
So he starts off very carefree, fun-loving kid is kind of the impression you get. And then a couple episodes in, you get that he found out he was the Avatar for him recently.
Yeah.
Right? And so for those of you who don't know, the main premise is Aang has been frozen in ice for 100 years. The Avatar has been missing for 100 years, stuck in an iceberg. And so for him, it's been no time, but for everyone else, it's been 100 years.
Yeah.
He didn't want to accept the responsibility as the Avatar in the beginning of the season. Like, he didn't want people to know he was the Avatar, period.
Yep.
He wants peace, and he's a big proponent of justice.
Yeah.
And he refuses to kill, basically.
Right.
He wants people to pay for what they've done, but he doesn't want to take life.
Right, which, I mean, isn't like super... like they don't really shine a spotlight on that whole aspect like right now in this season. I mean, it becomes a big issue pretty much like in season 3, book 3, Fire, whatever you want to call it. But no, I mean, this season, like, it's really just focusing on Aang, about the coming of age story here for the most part, like finding his resolve to be the Avatar. And basically this whole season is basically showing Aang like the repercussions of him not taking responsibility 100 years ago, and like what has happened to the world because of it. Because the thing is like, you know, he was supposed to go to the Northern Air Temple
to train,
but that meant he had to leave his master that he really admired here. So at that point, basically he
threw a tantrum and ran away.
And that ended up costing the entire world to not have an Avatar for 100 years. So at that point, what you're going to have is like the Fire Nation be undisputed for 100 years and allow them free reign for 100 years.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's all I got for Aang. I think you see him grow quite a bit towards the end of the season, though.
I think so, too, yeah. I mean, obviously he's went from like somebody who really wasn't treating the responsibility of an Avatar seriously to the point where he gets to the point where he's like, okay, I have to do this now. There's no way I can let things be the way that they are.
Yeah, because essentially he's running the whole season.
Pretty much.
Until the end where they make their stand.
Yeah, I mean, that last part, those last 3 episodes are kind of where like he actually does fight back, and he's like actually pretty much tells the world like the Avatar is back, and I'm not to be trifled with here,
right,
basically. But next up on the list, Katara.
Yeah, so I mean, Katara is she's an okay character. I mean, she develops a lot later, I think, in the series.
Oh, very much. Well, even like towards the end of this season, I feel like she's a lot more developed.
She's an unsure girl who comes into her own, essentially. And so at the beginning, she's very like, doesn't know the world very much, other than her and Sokka's mom was killed by the Fire Nation, so they know they're bad, obviously.
Yeah, no, they already know what side or what team they're playing for.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in this season, you definitely see her progress, both like, you know, in terms of like physical prowess, but also like character-wise. Here, you get to see she starts out like very innocent, kind of not knowing much about the world, kind of more of a simplistic lifestyle and simplistic mentality in terms of like handling things or going about things, but kind of learns like lessons on like what the world is actually like and how she needs to adapt to it. And then, obviously, beginning of the season, she barely can like water bend here.
Yeah, she's just learning.
She hasn't had like a proper teacher or a proper mentor. By the end of it, she's like one of the best water benders in the world by the end of season 1 here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, because I mean, we'll talk about it later in the episodes, but she has never had a waterbending teacher because there's no other waterbenders in the southern water tribe where they're from. So she's had to learn all on her own, or from scrolls that have been handed down or that they find.
Yep.
And then she easily outclasses everyone once she's allowed to be a student.
Yeah. So next up on the list is Sokka.
Sokka.
Yep.
Yeah. So Sokka's kind of cool. I think growing up, he was one of the more characters I identified with.
Just being the older brother.
The older brother, protective.
Yeah, kind of being more pragmatic about things here. Yeah. No, I get that.
So, yeah, he's obviously a goof, too.
Yeah, he's obviously mostly there for comedic effect. He's the pretty much only non-bender out of the group of our four.
Yeah, which I think is a really kind of cool element, though, too.
Yeah, well, actually, no, it's 5, isn't it?
What?
Of like the Team Avatar here. Yeah, it's 5. It's Zuko.
Whoa. That's spoilers, bro. So Team Avatar consists of obviously Aang, Katara, Sokka, Toph, Zuko, Momo, and Appa.
Wow, okay. 7. My bad.
Yeah.
But no, and so for somebody who's like an actual, like, he's primarily there for comedic effect, I feel like, for the most part, and that's what he's written to be by and large, but he actually has agency and he actually gets opportunity to like shine.
Yeah, he does, big time.
And like a lot of those times he gets to display like his kind of strategic or his planning.
Very much a strategist.
Very much so, yeah. And I mean, like every now and again, it's not like all the time, but it's definitely like, he definitely has his moments on how it works. And so he's definitely kind of viewing the world through a more pragmatic lens here for the most part. And even that, like even starting, like he was like very like skeptical about like the whole Avatar business, how like, things work with like bending and all that here.
Totally.
But I will say, I think out of like the members of Team Avatar, I think Sokka is my least favorite, but I don't think he's like a bad character. I think he's far from it. He's just, I don't know.
He's a goof. Like that's essentially what he is.
He's a goof, but I mean, I don't know. I just didn't like enjoy him as like much as like the other characters, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I feel for Sokka because he's like his backstory, and we'll get into that when we get to that episode, is, he's someone who he didn't, I just feel for him, I guess, is kind of more, not that I had the same situation, but I mean, no men around for him growing up in his prime years that he needs a man around. He had to be the man because everyone's off to war. He was too young to go to war. So he's left to take care of the younger guy, the younger kids in the tribe and all that stuff, and be the protector at a young age. So he had to grow up quick. So yeah, I mean, I think he is a goof, but also, when it comes down to it, I think he has a lot of baggage,
Yeah, no, most definitely here.
And then we come into someone like the next character who has a ton of baggage.
Yeah, Zuko.
Yeah, Prince Zuko.
So yeah, I mean, the prince that's trying to prove himself because ultimately, I mean, spoiler alert, he got banished from, the Fire Nation a couple years before the story picks up. I think it was 3 years roughly, somewhere.
I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly.
But he gets banished for dishonoring somebody, and long story short, he has to now prove his worth before he can come back. And so that's kind of, what motivates him to, capture Aang and, bring him back to the Fire Nation. But yeah, I mean, just kind of misunderstood character, has daddy issues basically for the most part.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, probably the most interesting character in the series.
Big time. He's the best one, I think.
Yeah. I mean, definitely the most interesting one this season for sure here. But he may have had like some Confucius philosophy inspirations from, like, I was watching a video about it before we started filming and or recording, whatever we're doing here. But basically, the Confucius philosophy is like all about like honoring ancestors, honoring your parents and stuff like that. So that might have played an inspiration for Zuko in terms of like, developing his character, like, trying to restore, live up to like his family's name, live up to his father's expectations, stuff like that.
And that's a big part of a lot of cultures in general.
Yeah.
I would say Zuko's probably my favorite character, especially this season. You just get a lot of background on him.
Yeah.
He is kind of a butt, but he's got a lot of baggage, like we said. Seeking to restore his name, he's misunderstood heavily.
Yeah.
I think he has genuinely good intentions his whole time.
Yes. No,
he's not out to hurt anyone. Like he gets mad sometimes and he wants to prove himself.
Yeah.
I think that's his motivation isn't to harm.
I mean, more than anything, he's just trying to accomplish his goal here.
Well, and his goal is not to kill the Avatar; it's to capture the Avatar.
Right.
So, I mean, there's that.
Yeah. But
part of that being is if you kill them, they're just gonna be born somewhere else.
Right. So they got to get around that whole issue or
by
problem.
Just imprisoning him.
But next up on the list is basically Zuko's companion, Iroh.
Yeah.
Uncle Iroh.
Uncle Iroh.
So. Yeah, basically just, he's an Fire Nation general. He's also was supposed to be taking over for the Fire Nation as the Fire Lord here, but, situations came up, blah, 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 but that's a story for a different time. Here.
Right.
But, yeah, kind of always vague, never seems to be very straightforward, and like you wrote in here, he's essentially pushing Zuko to kind of grow up, kind of think for himself, not necessarily always, kind of get out of like the whole like mentality that he's been in for pretty much like the last couple of years ever since he was banished. He's trying to teach him how to, just get past that and grow as a person for the most part.
Yeah, and I really like Iroh as a character, and especially as the seasons go on, because he gets way cooler.
Oh yeah, no, I think he's the best character in the show here. I mean, because he's like Mr. Miyagi with a little bit of like the Jackie Chan goofiness, thrown in there, but he's kind of like essentially a Taoist or a Taoist, where it's like a Chinese philosophy where they go with the flow of nature, and
kind of like a Qui-Gon.
Kind of like a Qui-Gon, yeah, you could say that. And basically, having respect for nature. So you see that him like,
Oh, totally.
Like,
you see it in some episodes.
Oh, yeah. Like, especially like when it comes to like, the
spirits.
The spirits, exactly, yeah. So, and yeah, it's great. So.
Yeah, I mean, Iroh for me is definitely like that. He's like that fortune cookie almost, where he's very parabolic, meaning like he speaks in parables to Zuko quite a bit. He doesn't ever come out and if Zuko asks him a question, he almost asks him another question.
Right. No, I mean, he is like the human embodiment of a fortune cookie, for sure. Yeah.
But when business needs to go down, he goes down. He's very powerful.
Oh, no, he knows how to throw down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess we could talk about a couple of the side characters, just mention them, because they're going to be important coming back to it in later seasons.
Sure, yeah.
So, you got Boomy.
Yeah, which, I mean, Boomy, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Boomy, to be honest with you. I just think that...
I think it's a fun character.
Yeah, sure. I guess you could say that. But I think the cool thing about Boomy is, like, he's, like, our first real introduction into earthbending and, like, what earthbending can actually be.
Totally. Yeah, that's what I like about him, too. And it's a cool connection because Boomy's 112 years old.
Yeah, roughly.
He's an old, frail man that... is Aang's that is Aang's longtime friend, and he's still alive, and that's his only friend who's still alive, I think.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of cool for Aang to have someone, and there's flashbacks to him as a kid with Aang, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Then you get a character like Jet.
Yeah, he's war criminal Peter Pan.
Or exactly, straight up.
He's living in the woods with like a band of boys, just going and
he has cool swords.
The
hook swords.
Yeah, they're called Fu Tao here.
Fu Tao.
Yeah, Fu Tao.
They're sick.
They are sick, especially like when he like hooks one on the end and he's like swinging it around. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, no, but he is war criminal Peter Pan. Like he lives in the woods with like a bunch of boys. They go pick on like adults that are coming through their area and all that, and basically they don't care whether or not they kill innocent people along the way, as long as they're accomplishing their mission here, which is kind of like you like if there's a bad guy in the forest, you burn the forest down kind of mentality or whatnot.
Right. Yeah, I think he in a general sense has good intentions. It's just really misplaced.
Yeah.
like with how he kind of operates and what they do.
I mean, he's kind of a little bit of a sociopath here, just because. I mean, he's, just the way that he's able to lie so like effortlessly, saying like, oh, this person was actually trying to poison me, blah blah blah. And
that makes up, just straight up make stuff up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and he comes back, so just be kind of paying attention maybe to him a little bit.
Yeah.
I really liked him as a being younger. I thought he was cool.
Yeah.
He's a non-bender. He's relying only on martial arts.
Yeah, which is
and can hold his own.
Yeah, which I mean, no, exactly here.
Yeah.
And then Suki.
Yeah, so Suki's one of the Kyoshi warriors that Sokka kind of has a thing for early in the season.
Very Japanese inspired, by the way, here. Like, the kabuki makeup, and then also the fan and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, and Suki comes back later and into the fold more in book 2. So season 2.
Yeah.
And 3.
And 3, I think, yeah.
Yeah, she definitely comes back there too.
Yeah. And then you got General Zhao.
Or Zhao.
Or Zhao, yeah.
Yeah.
Or then like
Admiral,
yeah.
Zhao.
Admiral at a certain point, but he's kind of like your typical military man. He's ambitious, and actually he's
essentially one of the antagonists of the season.
Well, I would say
the biggest one.
Yeah, I would say he is the main antagonist of the season, just because first you might think it might be Zuko, but then you kind of realize that Zuko is just kind of like a victim of the Fire Nation, just in a different way here.
Yeah.
Whereas Zhao is all about like, he was bred by the Fire Nation. He believes the propaganda. He believes he's all about it here. He's really just about like, making a name for himself. And right now he's more or less just a placeholder for like, more like developed villains come along, like Azula and Ozai here for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, and that kind of rounds out kind of the main cast. I mean, you have characters like Appa and Momo, but they're just they're comic relief sometimes, and also kind of vehicles.
Yeah.
In a sense, like Appa's a vehicle,
straight up vehicle here,
and he sometimes headbutts things.
Yeah.
Like in that I can't remember what episode, but yeah, he headbutts that other creature.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the voice actors. I mean, the cast is pretty stacked.
Yeah, no. I mean, a couple that stood out to me personally. Scott Menville, he plays a couple of characters, like a couple of extras, but like he was Robin in Teen Titans.
Yeah, his voice is super notable.
Oh, very notable. And then Mako plays Iroh, who is Aku in Samurai Jack.
And Mako's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah, he has been. He was even a Master Splinter in that one Ninja Turtles movie that
the CGI one?
Yeah, the CGI one, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, then we have people who are a little bit more notable probably than those two. Well, maybe not Mako, but Dante Bosco. So Dante, a long history in voice acting. But even before that, for those of you who are fans of Hook, the movie, he played Rufio, he has super noticeable voice.
Who does he play in Avatar?
Sorry, Prince Zuko.
Oh, he plays Zuko? Okay.
Oh, if you listen to his voice, it's
okay.
cut and paste.
It's been a while since I've seen that movie. So
yeah, so Dante Bosco plays Prince Zuko, played Rufio in Hook. And then we have Jack DeSena, who plays Sokka.
Mm-hmm.
So Jack has been on all that. Growing up, I watched all that quite a bit. So his voice is obviously stands out too on that show. So you kind of know. As soon as I heard the show, I was like, "Oh, that's the guy from all that."
Yeah.
He's also currently in a show called The Dragon Prince, which is made by some of the people who worked on Avatar.
Yeah.
On Netflix, and so he voices one of the main characters, if not the main character, on that.
Yeah, I think it's the one.
He's Gollum.
Yeah, the one that's like the one prince that uses magic every now and again. Yeah.
Yeah, I just finished that, by the way. Finally. It was pretty good. Yeah. It's interesting.
I mean, it's no Last Airbender.
No.
But yeah.
Still fun. But then you have Mae Whitman, who is probably the most notable. She's in Arrested Development. She plays the girlfriend of Anne,
right?
Yeah, it was Anne. Yeah, yes, that is her. Yeah, her? Exactly. So George Michael's girlfriend for all the seasons? She comes back.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, anyway, so she's on in Scott Pilgrim versus the World as one of the girlfriends.
Exes,
one of the exes. She's in Young Justice as Donna Troy.
Yeah. Now, who does she play in Last Airbender?
That is Katara.
Oh, that is Katara?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mae Whitman plays Katara. She's in Young Justice as, like I said, Donna Troy or Wonder Girl. And then she's April O'Neil in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show that was on Nickelodeon from 2014 to 2017.
Yeah, CGI one, right? Yeah.
And honestly, her list is so long, it was hard to pick out her most notable roles. And I'm sure we're missing a couple people in there. Oh, well, obviously. So there's only, I think, a couple lines from Firelord Ozai in the whole show.
Yeah.
For this season.
But Hamill.
Mark Hamill plays Firelord Ozai.
Yeah, if you don't know who that is, shame on you.
Luke Skywalker.